Hello and welcome to the Paper 1 support for the 7-mark question. Okay, for OCR, they're asking you this time in the mark scheme to explain more than one point. So use detail, explain the importance of those points to support or challenge the question. This time it's about making 3 points really. Try and make sure that you are making 3 definite clear ones. It could be 2 that are supporting, maybe 1 that's against, or it could be all 3 that support. It doesn't massively make a difference, but do try to make sure that you are explaining. Let's have a look at this example. It says, explain why the Greeks were able to make so much progress in medicine and it's worth 7 marks. The key here is so much. It's assuming that there's a lot of progress being made here. We want to make sure that we talk about the Greeks and we also want to talk about progress. So what made progress? And the first thing I've said is get straight to the point. The Greeks made a great deal of progress. So I've answered the question. I've put an opinion onto it. They made a great deal of progress. Here's how they made that progress. This is due to point 1, individual genius. Point 2, new ideas. And point 3, I said developments in technology. What you should then see is I've structured this quite clearly to show 1, 2, 3 points, and then at the end I've made some sort of overall statement about progress. So the first point, I've made it really clear for the examiner. I've gone the first reason. The first reason for rapid progress, which supports what I've said already, came from the role of Hippocrates. Full stop. That's my point. Here's my evidence and explanation that follows. His ideas about the natural world helped to create the 4 humours. So I'm saying that it was his ideas that created the 4 humours. Now I'm starting to explain it. So my evidence is the 4 humours. The next step is to explain. He linked the 4 humours that made up the body with the seasons and elements that changed over the course of a year. That's my explanation. So I've explained that the reason why Hippocrates was important because he came up with the 4 humours. The 4 humours he linked to the season, and he said that when it changed over time, over the course of a year, that's what made you ill. I'm expanding upon that. He claimed that illness was linked to change in the season and an unbalance of the humours. Hippocrates was also responsible for promoting observation and recording. He wrote about 60 books promoting these concepts, which allowed for others to develop his ideas later on. It's these connective words using which, therefore, as a result of, that helps do this job here. It's explaining. Here's my second point. Another reason was the creation of new ideas. That's my point. Here's my evidence. At the Asclepion, gymnasiums and saunas were built, which were used to keep people healthy and clean. It's a small explanation. These ideas were designed to maintain the body and was one of the earliest examples of how diet and fitness helped keep people healthy. I've explained. Perhaps for some of you, you might want to expand upon this point and you could explain even further how diet and fitness helped do this. Maybe you could talk about the importance of the Olympics that the Greeks put in place. The third reason, here we go, was the trading in metals, which allowed metal instruments to be created. These were precise and allowed for more complex surgery to take place beyond the removal of limbs or setting bones, which had been done before. Notice, there's my point. Evidence is the metal instruments themselves. These were precise and allowed for more complex surgery to take place. This is really where I'm trying to explain that it allowed for the removal of limbs. This kind of nice little nod here, which had been done before, is a kind of link to previous periods. And then I've finished with a conclusion. Finally, one area where there was little progress, so I'm kind of countering the argument, was religion. People were still supernatural, believed in gods or spirits. They prayed and gave offerings to help cure them of illness. They did this by visiting temples like the Asclepion. To me, this has explained clearly more than one point. You've analysed this and there's a lot of evidence in there. So 7 marks, job done.